Catherine's POV. The crisp, cold water knocked the air out of my lungs, and I gasped for air as the water made its way down my throat into my lungs. The freezing temperatures of the ice-cold water made my muscles ache and burn, making it difficult to move my arms. It was freezing. I tried to swim back to the surface, but the never-ending silver dress was pulling me down to the bottom of the pool. I got entangled in the endless material, and it became a hopeless and unforgiving battle. Oh, goddess, help! I don't want to drown. I don't want to die like this. I want to grow old and have a family of my own. My lungs burned as the last oxygen left my lungs. My eyesight became blurry. I wish I could have met you, I called out to Kia as my back touched the bottom of the pool. I wish I could have felt the wind move through our fur and the dampness under our paws. You still will, she whispered. Darkness followed as I fell unconscious, yet I suddenly felt at peace. My body was warm and cozy, and I wasn't fighting to breathe normally. Did I drown? Am I in heaven? A familiar, crystal-clear chuckle came from my side, sending a wave of happiness through my body. I slowly opened my eyes, blinking a couple of times against the sharp light. When my eyes eventually adjusted to the light, I wanted to take a look at my surroundings, but beautiful, dark golden eyes, followed by a huge white body, greeted me. That shook me wide awake, and I sat up. You! I yelled out in fear, moving away from her. What are you doing here? Calm down, the wolf said, startled at my outburst. She calmly sat down and looked at me. My heart started to race in my chest. No, not until you tell me who you are and why you are haunting my dreams. I yelled out of breath. Dreams? The wolf said, snorting in disgust. It was never a dream. Wait, what? I asked. I was sure I had seen her in a dream. Colt and Ray were there too. You heard me right, she said. Then who are you? I asked. The familiar angelic giggle escaped her lips, and excitement followed in her golden eyes. I am you, and you are me, she answered. Kia? I gasped, testing the idea on my tongue. Yep, that's me, she said. But... Come on, she said, getting to her feet. I have a lot of explaining to do. You know I can't. Kia turned around and looked at me, shaking her head. It is all in your head, you know, she said. That's what the doctors told me, I spat, annoyed. And they were right, she said, except it was sort of my fault, in the beginning. You did this to me, I growled at her. You had me stuck in a wheelchair for months for nothing. It wasn't for nothing, she stopped me. There is an explanation for everything. It better be good, I snapped. You had my fated mate reject us. Brian? She asked. Yes, that loser was never your fated mate, she snapped. You called out, mate, remember, I challenged. I know, she said, but only because he smelled like it. Now get your ass off the ground and follow me. I huffed angrily as I got up, yet the anger left me as soon as I got to my feet. I wiggled my toes and dug them into the earth. It felt so good that a smile followed on my lips. Are you coming? Kia asked, getting impatient. Yeah, sure, I said and took a step forward. Another smile fell on my lips, and a giggle of pure excitement escaped my lips. I never felt so alive. The excitement bubbled over inside me. I couldn't believe that I was walking on my own, and I was seeing this. I started following Kia, and with every step I took, worry started to creep inside me. What if this was just a dream, and if I left this place, I wouldn't be able to walk again? Kia turned her huge head and looked at me. You will walk again, she said. You just need to believe. Believe? I asked. Believe in what? That I can walk? Kia found my worries amusing and chuckled. No, silly, she said. You need to believe that Colt, Gray, and Sam are really in love with you without the bond telling you so. I froze in my tracks. Why? Isn't the bond enough? I asked. Isn't that the reason the goddess created the bond? Kia sat down and lowered her head, then released a long and painful breath. The goddess has always been very fond of you, Kia said. She knows how much you have always loved her. Then why did she send me all these heartaches? I snapped, crossing my arms around my chest. Because, Kia said and sighed. Because of what? I asked, losing my patience. Why did I have a feeling that things were more complicated than just me getting rejected? You are her child, Kia said. The normal bond doesn't work with you like other wolves. But I can. I started to argue, but Kia cut me off. Yes, sent them, Kia said. You sent a suitor, but that doesn't mean they will be your mate. I get free choice, I said. not as a question, but as an afterthought. Yes, Kia nodded. When you believe that he is your mate, only then. Then why? I said, trying to find the words. The accident wasn't planned, Kia said, reading my mind. I tried everything in my power to keep you safe. But you took my legs from me, I shouted, feeling the air leave my lungs. No, she said. When you first woke, Brian left us in excruciating pain. I took most of the rejection on myself, and it weakened me. I broke your fall. We should have been. Kia dropped her gaze and whimpered, I need to use some of your energy to heal. It took longer than I thought it would. And Ethan? I asked. He made it worse, she said. I didn't have enough strength to come forward until you met Colt. He healed us. He gave me the strength to repair everything that was broken. He and his brothers are truly in love with you. They are our true mates. You just need to believe it and forget about everything else. Colt saw you, you know, I said. Ray too. I know, she said, but he will not remember anything about it. Why? I asked, searching Kia's gaze. Because he marked us, she said, and my hand snapped instinctively to my nape. All three need to mark us before the bond is completed. Colt's POV. What happened? My voice died off as I recognized Kate's helpless body lying on the side of the swimming pool. Someone was desperately trying to do CPR to save her life. No, 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 Sam yelled, passing me and running toward Kate. He pushed her savior to the side and continued with the CPR. Who did this? Gray roared, devastated next to me, searching for the one who was responsible. The crowd looked at one another, shaking their heads. They were or too afraid to tell us who had done this or didn't see who the perpetrator was. Gray turned toward the bar, saw the bartender, and grabbed hold of his shirt, pulling him over the bar and throwing him on the floor. Who is responsible for doing this? He roared. I don't know, Beta, he said, whimpering. I didn't see. You left Kate at the bar, unattended? I asked Gray, narrowing my eyes at him. Why would he do that? He has never been this irresponsible. I left her in his care, Gray defended. I needed to get some ice, the wolf cried out. I wasn't gone for too long. The she-wolf wanted a drink. Why didn't you leave her in her parents' care? I asked. Gray looked at me, annoyed. Now you are blaming me, he growled. You knew her parents hadn't arrived yet. A girl slowly came forward and our gaze snapped toward her. I recognize her from the square. Alpha, she said, her voice low and quivering. I know who pushed Kate into the pool. Then tell us, Gray roared. The girl jumped out of fear and took a step back. I pushed Gray away and gave him a warning look. Tell me who is responsible, I said, trying to keep my voice even. Mimi, she stuttered nervously, lowering her head. I should have known. I should have known Amy would dare something like this in our absence. The crowd of wolves must have heard what the girl had just said, and suddenly everyone moved away and to the sides, leaving Amy standing alone. You did this? Sam roared, stepping away from Kate, and in the blink of an eye had Amy around her throat. I was surprised that he didn't shift into Luca and had killed her. It was an accident. Amy whimpered, trying to get Sam's hands off her. I didn't do it on purpose. Sam looked at her and dropped her on the floor. Amy looked up at Sam in fear. His eyes had changed black, and Luca must have taken over. You have 5 minutes to pack up and leave. Luca's husky voice filled the air. You are banned from the pack. Sammy, no, Amy cried out, crawling closer and grabbing hold of the end of his suit. Where will I go? I will die in the cold. It's winter. Please, please, I will do anything you say. I beg you. Let me stay. Sam pushed her off him. Time is running out, he said, looking at the moon. If the moon reaches its peak and you are not gone, I will personally rip you apart. Fear crossed Amy's eyes, and she shivered in fear. Gone was the Sam we all knew as fun and careless. Gone was Sam, who was playful and carefree. You can't do that, Amy shouted, finding her voice and jumping to her feet. You are not the alpha. You have no right to throw me out. Sam's gaze simply moved toward me. But I can, I said. I am the rightful alpha of this pack. Amy's jaw dropped. I don't believe you, she shouted. Only Alpha Michael can brandish me. I nodded with a cheeky smile. I, Alpha Colt Black, hereby banish you, Amy Quinn, from the White River Pack for the attempted murder of the future Luna, Catherine Jones. We have broken all ties with you as of this second. You will be seen as a rogue from this moment forward. I watched as the bond that tied her to the pack snapped in half, and she gasped wide-eyed. Pack members looked at me bewildered. No one knew I had taken the alpha position. They all knelt before, leaving only Amy standing. "You have less than 3 minutes to get your ass off this territory," I warned her, turning my gaze toward Sam. "I will not take responsibility for Delta Sam's actions if he finds you." Amy took a few steps back, unsure if I would be so cruel. She knew what Sam was capable of if he lost control. The sound of bones breaking suddenly aired, and Amy froze, her gaze snapping toward Sam. I internally rolled my eyes and sighed. Sam was making this as dramatic as possible. "I suggest you run," I said coldly. "I will not stop him, nor will Beta Gray stand in his way." With that said, I rushed to Kate's side and knelt next to her. "She is fine," Ray said. "Sam saved her life. She is just sleeping." I checked Kate's pulse and breathing, confirming what Ray said was true. "Take her inside," Ray ordered, and I swept Kate into my arms. The pack members made way for me as I carried Kate toward the infirmary. A chilling howl sounded from behind me as I entered the ballroom, and I looked over my shoulder, seeing a light gray wolf standing in Sam's place. Sam had finished his shifting faster than I thought he would. Luca nodded his massive head, then turned on his heels and sprinted toward the forest. Amy was lucky that it was Sam who was following her and not Gray or me. Gray would easily be able to track her down by her scent, while I would easily catch her. Sam, on the other hand, might not leave Amy recognizable if he gets hold of her. "Let's get Kate checked out," Gray said, and I followed him through the ballroom. Just at that moment, the moon reached its peak, and the moon's rays fell on the crystal centerpiece, lighting the room up in a magical blue light. Everyone gasped in wonder and broke out in applause while my heart sank in my chest. Kate never got to see this wonderful event. Catherine's POV. Where is she? My mother's panicked voice echoed in my ears. "Why haven't you taken her to the infirmary yet?" My father barked a second later. "What happened? Who has done this to my sister?" Jimmy growled. "Time to go," Kia said urgently. "You need to show your family you are all right, and the surprise is waiting for you. I don't want you to miss that. The boys worked so hard to make it special, adding their personal touches to it." "Didn't Alpha and Luna organize the event?" I asked. "They did," Kia confirmed, "but the boys added their personal touches to the festival. You shouldn't miss it." "But I am not ready to leave," I whined. "I still have so many unanswered questions. The boys can show me next year." "I know you have more questions," Kia said, "but you will get your answer in due time. This event happens only once a year and you will be missing it." Kia was right, and I wanted to see the moon's rays on the crystal snowflake. Missing it would be devastating for me and the boys. "Just answered me this," I said, stopping Kia before she left. "When will I be able to walk again?" "When you are ready," she simply said, retreating to the far end of my mind. My surroundings suddenly changed back to normal, and Colt's intoxicating scent filled my nostrils. I could smell Gray standing close by, but Sam's scent was absent. Where has he gone? Why was he missing the show? I slowly opened my eyes, blinking against the beautiful blue light flowing down on us. I could feel the moon's energy flowing like a second skin around me. It felt magical. "It's surely beautiful," Gray said, his gaze pinned on the beautiful display above us. "It's just a shame that Kate will not be seeing this," Colt said with a sad sigh. I reached my hand out, cupping Colt's face, and startled, he looked down at me. "You are awake," he gasped, surprised. Gray came closer, and a smile followed on his lips. He surely looked happy that I was awake. "How are you feeling?" he asked, rumbling down the question like a concerned mate. "Are you cold?" "I feel fine," I said, trying to comfort him. "I'm just a bit wet." The boy's eyes darkened at my words, and I couldn't help but giggle, hearing the double meaning. "Let's get you cleaned up," Colt said, turning to the exit. "No, wait," I said, gesturing toward the roof. "I want to see." "There isn't much left to see," Colt said. "Just one more minute," I pleaded. Gray and Colt let out a breath of annoyance and nodded. The moon's rays started to move, and at a certain angle, the crystal centered the rays and reflected them on the smaller ones around the room, and those small snowflakes lit up, creating a beautiful display of rainbow colors on the ceiling. "Wow!" Gray gasped, seeing the out-of-this-world display. The boys were looking at the ceiling in awe. "Who would have thought that would have happened?" Colt said, looking down at me, I was glad that I could change the boys' minds. Otherwise, we would have missed the spectacular show. "Where's my family?" I asked when the light dimmed out and the show came to an end. The band immediately resumed playing their music, and the crowd of wolves returned to dancing again. "Somewhere around here," Colt said, searching in the crowd for them. "Gray," I waved him closer, "will you please go find my parents and tell them that I am okay? Colt is talking to me to get changed." Gray nodded, turned on his heels, and disappeared into the crowd. "I'm taking you to the infirmary first," Colt said, leaving no room to argue. "Then change." "Very well," I said, rolling my eyes. "I saw that," Colt said. The doctor took his sweet time doing his medical checks. I wasn't sure if it was because Colt told him to be thorough or if the doctor was naturally slow and taking his sweet time, but I, on the other hand, was losing my patience quickly, and my annoyance was growing. I didn't plan on ending up here. I wanted to be down there, where the festival was in full swing. Gray's voice came from the reception area, and then my mother's. A few seconds later, they both walked into the room. "Mom!" I yelled out, happy to see her, and she came rushing closer to the bed and pulled me into a hug. "Oh, Catherine," she cried, "we were so worried." "I'm okay, Mom," I said. "It was just an accident. Nothing serious happened." "Oh no," she said, wiping her tears. "That's not what we heard. It is horrible that that crazy she-wolf tried to hurt you in front of so many wolves on a night like this. No one knows what has gotten into her. Some of the guests are speculating that the girl was trying to get rid of you, to take your place as Luna. Others believe she is the boy's ex-lover." My mother's gaze moved to the boys, and she gave them a kind smile. "Alpha Colt here has banished the she-wolf," my mother said. "I think you should thank him. You should be safe from now on." "Banished?" I gasped in disbelief. "You banished Amy?" Colt, in return, gave me a single nod of the head, not explaining things. "By law, Colt is Alpha," Gray said, closing the subject altogether. "They didn't have to banish her like that. Why didn't they just transfer her to another pack? She could die out there." Something in Colt's cold posture told me that he didn't care, and the way Gray said Colt was Alpha meant that he agreed to the verdict. "Ah, finally!" Jimmy's happy voice came from the door, and my gaze snapped toward him. "Hello, sis," he said, coming closer. He grabbed hold of me, and just as fast, he let go of me, lifting a surprised eyebrow. "What?" I asked. "What do I do?" Jimmy chuckled, amused, taking a step away from me. "Good news, Miss Kate," the doctor said, cutting us off. The doctor came to a stop and scrunched his eyebrows together, seeing all the people visiting me inside the room. "I'm sorry," the doctor said, turning toward my brother and mother. "Would you please step outside? I need to discuss something important with the patient." Jimmy's smile widened while my mother's face fell. Why do I have a feeling Jimmy knows something and refuses to share it? I watched my family leave the room, and my attention moved to the doctor. What he said next made me gasp for air. Catherine's POV. "You are pregnant!" The same 3 words echoed inside my mind, leaving me gasping for air while Colt froze like a statue and Gray's eyes popped out of their sockets. "Are you for real?" Gray carefully asked, and the doctor chuckled at my mate's choice of words. "As real as these results," the doctor said, pointing his finger at the report on the clipboard. Colt slowly took a step toward me and pulled me into his arms. His warmth and scent calmed me. "Everything will be okay," he whispered. I nodded, unable to form the proper words. I wasn't sure if I was happy about being pregnant now. Not because I didn't want pups. On the contrary, I loved them, but I think the timing was a bit off. What if? I shook my head, clearing the dark thoughts forming in my mind. Amy was banished from the pack's territory, Ethan had left, according to Gray, and Brian had gone rogue. The only one left was the wicked mother-in-law, but I guess she will come around when she hears she will become a grandmother soon, or so I hope. "Can I see my family now?" I asked. "Everything else looks in order," the doctor said. "Come see me next week so that we can do a proper checkup on the pups' progress." "Pups?" Gray gasped, wide-eyed. "Doctor, are you sure they are multiples?" Colt asked. The doctor nodded, sure of his facts. "I am not sure how many," the doctor said, "but I did hear more than 1 heartbeat, but I will confirm next week." With that said, the good old doctor turned to leave. "Congratulations," Jimmy said excitedly as he and my mother entered the room. Jimmy gave high fives to Colt and Gray, celebrating the news and leaving my mother all confused. "What's going on?" my mother asked, looking between the three of them. "Seriously, Mom?" Jimmy asked, raising his eyebrows. "You don't smell that?" "Smell what?" she asked, shaking her head in confusion. My mother lifted her nose to the air and took a whiff, then scrunched her perfect eyebrows together before she took another. Her eyes widened at first, followed by a proud smile on her red, full lips. "Are you?" she asked carefully, seeking my gaze. "Seems so," I said. "Congratulations, Mom." Jimmy grabbed her shoulders and squeezed them. "You are going to be a grandmother soon." "A grandmother?" she whispered in disbelief. "I am going to be a grandmother." She suddenly sat down, shaking her head in disbelief. "I am too young to be a grandmother," she said, pouting. "I just had Ellie." "They can play together," Jimmy said enthusiastically, trying hard to distract my mother with happy thoughts. "And grow up together," Gray added. "Ellie will never be alone," Colt said, smiling proudly. "Ellie was never planned. She was a surprise given by the goddess. The huge age gap never bothered anyone until today." "You are right," my mother finally said, getting over her shock and turning her attention toward me. "I am happy for you, Kate. I think you would be a great mother to your pups." "Thank you," I said. My gaze moved toward the boys. They were both silently smiling, as if they had just won the biggest contest in the world. They are going to be great and proud fathers. "Boys," I called, "do you mind taking me to get dressed, please?" Gray nodded and lifted me from the bed. "We'll see you down the stairs," I called as we exited. We found Sam exiting his room when we entered the quarters. His hair was wet, and he had a change of clothes, but what caught my attention was the red mark on the side of his face. It looked like a battle wound. Was he in some kind of fight? "Kate!" he yelled as he saw me. "I was on my way up to the infirmary to go check up on you." "No need," I said. "The doctor says everything is in order." Gray raised an eyebrow, waiting for me to break the news. "And?" Sam asked, getting suspicious. He must be reading my emotions. Gray carried me to my room and carefully sat me down on the bed. Sam followed after us. "And?" Sam repeated, crossing his arms around his chest and pinning his gaze on me. I suddenly felt self-conscious. How do I tell Sam that I am pregnant? The doctor broke the news to us. I wasn't even sure how Sam would react when hearing the news. "Where have you disappeared to?" I asked instead, eyeing his change of clothes and changing the subject altogether. Sam gave me a cold glare, then pushed himself away from the doorframe. "I made sure Amy wouldn't bother us again," he said icily. I could hear the hidden warning in his words, and a cold feeling ran down my spine. Did he? I swallowed at the thought. Did he kill Amy? "Did you escort Amy from the Pack territory?" I carefully asked. Gray flinched, and his relaxed posture suddenly stiffened. Gray slowly moved his head, trying hard not to make any sudden movements. "Did something happen? Were they discussing something? Were they hiding something from me?" "Something like that," Sam said, his eyes turning colder as they moved to Gray. "Something must have happened." "What are you two discussing?" I chirped. Gray jumped out of fright, looking very guilty, but Sam's gaze stayed cold. "Nothing," Gray said nervously, giving Sam a quick warning glare and closing one of the drawers. "I don't believe." "Are you going to give Sam the exciting news?" Gray asked me off. "More secrets?" Sam said, narrowing his eyes at Gray. "Hopefully this is better news than earlier today." "It is," Gray said. "You will like it." Why the hell was Gray so worried? Sam's attention slowly shifted to me, and he raised taunting eyebrows, waiting for me to tell him. I quietly looked at Sam. His body posture and language were way different from those of the wolf I fell in love with. It had changed so much that it reminded me of Colt's cold posture. Sam could easily challenge Colt for the alpha position, and he might even win. "So," Sam asked, "are you going to let me into your little secret?" I sighed and looked at Gray. "Why don't you tell him?" I asked Gray. "Because it will be better if he hears the news from you." Gray mumbled under his breath, without looking at me. Was he deliberately doing this? Was he scared of Sam and his reaction? My gaze moved back to Sam, narrowing my eyes. What would Sam's reaction be upon hearing the news? Colt's POV? "Are you fucking crazy?" I roared out in disbelief. "How could you be so stupid?" "I did what was needed to be done," Sam answered coldly. "She will not dare to return. That's only if she is not dead." Gray commented. What did you expect would happen? Sam snapped, jumping to his feet and expanding his aura. Just to let her go? Sam's aura had grown to match mine, and as the youngest among the three of us, it shouldn't be like that. I was alpha. It was my birthright. He wouldn't dare challenge me for the title, would he? Yes, no, I said, shaking my head and feeling confused. Which one is it, Colt? Sam growled darkly at me. You are right, I finally said, but hurting. She tried to kill Kate. He cut me off and spat words fiercely at me. She tried to come between us and force Kate out. I know, I said, lowering my voice. When Sam is out of control, adding oil to the fire isn't a good thing. It made the sparks fly, and if Sam loses his shut now, being already angry, Gray and I would definitely end up in the infirmary with more than just a concussion or broken bones. Are you sure you didn't kill her? Gray asked, turning a page of the book he was reading. He has been reading through my grandfather's journal since the second he got his hands on it. My father finally got to his senses and handed it to him, much to my annoyance. Now Gray was focusing only on the book and not on anything else, yet the look of irritation was painted on Gray's face. Whatever he was looking for wasn't hidden in the pages. I am sure, Sam answered slowly, and just for the record, and so, you know, she attacked me first, not the other way around. That we didn't know. What? I snapped. What did you just say? Why didn't you tell us? What exactly happened then? Gray asked, cutting me off. Gray just told me that Sam came back with a scar running down the side of his face, and that he said that he got rid of the problem. We all assume the worst. We will need to make sure Amy isn't dead inside the pack, I said to Gray the night before. And if she is? Gray asked, unconcerned. We needed to get rid of the evidence before Kate or anyone else found it, I said. I don't want panicked pack members. Gray nodded in understanding. Cleaning up Sam's mess was normal for us, but this could create unnecessary trust issues between us and Kate. I chased after her, Sam said, breaking my chain of thoughts. I was about to reach the boundary to check if she had crossed when she came from out of nowhere and jumped me. She is responsible for this scar. She is responsible for getting hurt. I just defended myself. Luca had healed Sam's wounds, but there wasn't enough time to hide all the evidence of the fight. What happened then? Gray asked, raising his gaze from the pages. I shook my head as my thoughts shifted back to late last night. Gray informed me of what Sam said to him, and it made me worried. Sam was supposed to just follow Amy and make sure she crossed the border. Nothing more, nothing less. The Blue Moon Festival lasted until the early hours of the morning, and when we returned to our quarters, we were all exhausted. We will check it out later, I linked Gray. Kate is exhausted and she needs rest. If we leave her now, she will know something is up. She already knows something is off with Sam, Gray said. I don't like lying to her. She will eventually find out, and then we will all be sleeping in the doghouse. We will tell her, I promised. But not now. She already has too much to deal with. This morning, Gray and I sneaked out, leaving Sam and Kate in bed. He wouldn't dare leave her, Gray said as we exited the room. She told him that she was with Pup, and he is excited about that. That explained why his gaze never left her. He watched her every move like a hawk last night. We followed the route Amy took. I sighed as we ran deeper into the forest. It looked as if a hurricane had gone through the forest, leaving a trail of broken trees and branches all over. Seems like we don't need to follow Sam's scent after all, Ray yapped, finding the situation funny. I guess so, I said, shaking my head, annoyed. There is no way we could hide this, Gray said. I know, I said, moving my gaze from side to side, taking in everything Sam destroyed. He will need to get his temper under control. Further down, we reached the pack boundary and started to search. We picked up the Amy scent, but it died off at a certain spot. There is no sign of her, Gray said. I can't even trace her scent. What did Sam do with her? I threw her wolf off me, broke one of her hind legs in the process, and tossed her over the boundary, Sam said coldly, breaking my chain of thoughts. I left her to die there. She didn't move, but I could hear her wolf whimper in pain. Do you think she would be so bold and take a chance and sneak back in? Gray asked. No, I said, shaking my head. She would need help to do that, and I would have known if someone left the pack without permission. Then where is she? Gray asked, closing his book. I slowly exhaled as worry crept inside my heart. Sam could have killed Amy the second she came at him. Why didn't he? What kept him from killing her right there and then? He had the right. She attacked him. I released an uneven breath I didn't know I was holding. Maybe the rogues have scooped her up, Sam said, heading to the exit. She is officially one of them. I don't really care what happens to her, as long as our paths never cross again. The warning in Sam's words sent a cold shiver down my spine. For Amy's sake, I hope her path never crosses Sam's again. She will not get a second chance to walk out there alive. That thought left me with an unholy, nagging feeling. Would Amy try and take revenge? Catherine, POV. Are you telling me I'm going to be an uncle? Daniel whispered curiously. My family and I were all sitting outside on the porch having breakfast. The lazy winter sun was giving us just enough warmth to enjoy the outdoors. I chuckled and nodded. The news of my pregnancy had spread like wildfire. Yes, David yelled out of joy, jumping to his feet and throwing his hands in the air out of excitement. I am going to be an uncle. You are not the only one, Jimmy said sourly. Was he jealous of David? Gosh, David gasped, looking at Jimmy. We are both going to be uncles. Isn't that great? I couldn't help but laugh at David's enthusiasm. I never thought that he would be so excited about becoming an uncle. It seems like you have an admirer, my mom teased. We get along just fine, I said. He is quite interesting and entertaining. That's good, my father said. At least you are getting along with your in-laws. If only it were that easy. By this time, the news of my pregnancy must have reached Luna Mary's ears, and I can just imagine what was going through her head. I nodded and gave my father a quick, stiff smile, then took a bite of my pancakes. These pancakes tasted like heaven, pure heaven. Whoever made them knows their way around the kitchen. I moaned my appreciation while I took another bite. So, my mother said, indicating that she wanted to talk to me about something important. I slowly took the last bite of my pancake, placed the utensils on the plate, and sat back in my chair. Everyone's attention moved to my mother, waiting for her to reveal what she had on her mind. My mother took a sip of her coffee and carefully placed the mug back on the table. I was wondering, my mother started, seeking my gaze. Wondering about what exactly? Colt asked as he and Gray joined us at the table. Sam had returned earlier, but he excused himself when he saw that I had company, explaining that he needed to take Luca out for a run. I found that odd, but I just nodded and let him be. I knew something was bothering him, but I wasn't sure what. Sarah, my mother said, turning her attention back to me. She is excited to know that you are pregnant, and she asked if you would be willing. No, I said, shaking my head and cutting her off. My mother looked at me in disbelief. She wasn't used to me being rude. Come on, Kate, my mother said, reaching her hand out to me. You didn't even give me a chance to explain. No need, I said. I don't want anything to do with her. My mother sighed, slowly shaking her head. She's your best friend, my mother pleaded. Was, I corrected. Sarah was my best friend until she and Brian got kinky under the blankets. Let bygones be bygones, my father said calmly. You have met your new mates and are happy. We all accept the fact that Brian has gone rogue and wouldn't have been a good mate for you. What exactly did this she-wolf suggest? Gray asked, reaching for a piece of toast. My mother straightened her back and lifted her chin, giving Gray a typical Luna smile. She wants to come help Kate with the pups, she said. She is willing to transfer Pax for the time being to be at Kate's side. She is hoping I will forgive her, I mumbled under my breath. That is not going to happen. Some days, I wish I didn't lose the ability to mind link with the ones close to me. It would have made this situation a bit less awkward. Sounds like a reasonable request, Colt said. I will allow that. When will she be coming? My gaze snapped back toward Colt, glaring at him. She is already here, my father said, trying hard not to laugh. She came with us. Sarah is here, I growled. And you didn't care to tell me? Well, Kate, we didn't really have the time to tell you, my father said. Besides, it was a last-second decision from her to attend the festival, my mother added. She had decided to forgive and forget. My father tried to convince me. She is now more involved in the pack, and she is slowly returning to her old self. Are you hearing yourselves? I spat angrily. Sarah has betrayed my trust. How do you expect me to just forgive and forget what she has done to me? She was my best friend. She and I did everything together. The only rule was to leave each other's mate alone. She broke that rule. She overstepped my boundaries. My father sighed and nodded. We understand, he said, turning his gaze toward my mother and nodding. But Alpha Colt has agreed to let her stay. No, I said sternly. I will not allow that. She is not welcome. Why not? Gray asked. She just wants to help. Besides, having someone you know and trust around you might ease the responsibility of motherhood. That's the problem, Gray, I said, balling my fists. I don't trust her, and I don't want her close to my pups, or even my mates. So you don't trust us, Colt said coldly, getting up from his seat. That's not what I said, I argued. That's exactly what you just said. Sam's voice came from behind me. No, I haven't, I argued, shaking my head. Kate, Gray said, stopping me. We can understand why you are upset and why you don't want Sarah close to us, but we are not Brian. We love and respect you, Sam said, but we have no reason to be unfaithful to you. But if you can't trust us, the bond between us means nothing to you, Colt added before storming off. I sighed angrily. That's not at all what I meant by that, I said, watching Gray get up and leave the table as well. Sam bent over and kissed my cheek. I know, he said, but see it from our perspective. You just told us we were heartless and would cheat on you. I didn't mean it like that, I said, feeling the tears burning behind my eyelids. Then proof it, Sam said. Let Sarah come stay and help you. I promise you, we wouldn't even give her a second glance. I dropped my shoulders, defeated. Fine, I gave in, but she will be sleeping at the far end of the pack house, far, far, far away from us. I wouldn't have it any other way, Sam said, kissing the top of my head before he ran off to his room. My gaze turned back to my parents, and both of them sat with a broad smile on their lips. They might have won this round getting Sarah to stay, but that didn't necessarily mean I would welcome her back with wide and open arms. Catherine POV. It was hard to say goodbye to my family, but they needed to return to the pack. Bye, sis, Jimmy said, hugging me. Look after yourself and the little beans. I chuckled at the name he gave the pups, yet I felt emotional too. I will, I said, blinking the tears away. Don't be a stranger. Come visit soon. I will, Jimmy said. I might just run the route the triplets used to do. My mother was next, giving me a warm and powerful hug. We exchanged some words, and she got into the SUV. Catherine, my father said, opening his arms to me. I pushed the wheelchair closer, and as he bent down, I grabbed him around the neck and hugged him for dear life. Take care, he said, rubbing my back to calm me, and call me if you need anything. I will, I said, letting go of him and moving away so he could get in the car. We will see you soon, he said. Don't be a stranger, Jimmy yelled from the back seat. Silver Moonstone is still your home. You are still the heir to the throne. I chuckled, shaking my head. I already have a throne, one with wheels, I chirped. I know, he yelled, but this one is bigger and more your style. I couldn't help but laugh. My father instructed Beta Harold to start driving. I watched as my family drove off, leaving me waving until they disappeared down the driveway and out of sight. Let's get you inside, David said, coming down the steps. Before you catch a cold. I nodded, not saying a word. Winter was almost upon us, and the lazy autumn breeze was its messenger. I had a feeling that this winter would be a cold one. David lifted me, chair and all, and carried me up the few steps to the front door. It was easier that way than to try and pull the wheelchair up the few steps. Where are your brothers? I asked as he pushed me down the hallway. I think they are in the Colt's office, David answered. I nodded in response. Colt has been avoiding me for the last couple of hours. He sent David to accompany me throughout the day. Was he really that pissed at me? Did I hurt his feelings? He surely must know that I wasn't referring to them. I sighed. I could understand why Colt felt like this, and I thought about what he said. Yet, it wasn't them I was worried about. I was worried that Sarah might try her luck with one of the boys. Don't look so miserable, David said. My brothers wouldn't stay angry at you too long. By this time, Colt had forgotten about this morning and had moved on. I am pretty sure they are just busy with the alpha ceremony preparation. My head snapped towards him, and David came to a stop. What? He asked. What did I say wrong? Gosh, I said. I had forgotten that the ceremony is due next weekend. David chuckled, amused, behind me. Already having a pregnancy brain? He teased. Pregnancy, my mind wandered off to Sam. I was nervous about telling him that I was pregnant, but everything ended up well. What's the big secret? Sam asked, taking one of my hands in his and pressing a soft butterfly kiss on my knuckles. I lifted my other hand, traced the mark on the side of Sam's face, and narrowed my eyes. Were you in some kind of fight? I asked, deliberately changing the subject again. It's nothing, he said. It doesn't look like it's nothing to me, I argued, pulling my hands back. Why doesn't Sam want to tell me what happened? Will it anger and upset me? Was he scared of my reaction? Princess, Sam said, taking both of my hands in his huge ones, I am dying here. Please tell me before I lose my mind. I dropped my gaze to my lap, fiddling with the hem of my dress. My eyes caught movement, and I saw Gray disappear into my closet. I sighed and internally rolled my eyes. Gray was doing this on purpose. Well, I hesitated, feeling my face warm. Sam knitted his eyebrows together, looking at me all confused. I guess he couldn't understand what I was hesitating to tell him. What is it? He whispered. You know you can tell me anything, he said, lifting my chin to look at him. I swallowed hard against the lump forming in my throat, took a deep breath, and muttered the words that I thought would never pass my lips. I'm pregnant. The last word was barely a whisper. Sam froze. This was surely the last thing he expected me to say. When Sam didn't say anything, I slowly lifted my gaze and peeked under my lashes. I was surprised at what I saw. Sam had the biggest and brightest smile frozen on his lips. Are you kidding me right now? He asked, his gaze moving back to me. Tell me you are not lying. I'm not, I said. The doctor confirmed it just a few minutes ago. Ask Gray if you don't. Before I could finish defending myself, Sam had me in his arms and was twirling in circles, chanting the words, I am going to be a father. I am going to be a father. I have never seen him that happy and excited. What do you know about pregnancy, Brain? Sarah's voice echoed through the quiet hallway, bringing me back to my present. My eyes shifted to the stairs where she was standing, and something cold and unsettling crept inside of me. Sarah had crossed her arms around her chest, her expression cold and her movements calculated. Her strawberry-colored hair looked even redder than usual. What was her case? Why did she look and act so differently than a few days ago? David brought the wheelchair to a stop, glaring at Sarah. Probably more than you, David growled. Is that so? She sneered. You are what? 15? 17. David corrected her. At least I know how to respect my best friend's boundaries. I bit down hard, trying not to burst out laughing. The boys might think that having Sarah here was a good thing, but David didn't like that idea at all. You, Sarah snapped, turning red in her face. I didn't do it. I lifted my hand to stop Sarah. Spare us the details, I said calmly. David doesn't need to know what happened. No one does. It's something that happened between you and Brian. Keep it that way. I gestured to David that I wanted to leave, and he started pushing the wheelchair forward. Sarah jumped in front of the wheelchair, placing her hands on the armrest and bringing us to a standstill. Move out of the way, David roared. No, Sarah growled darkly. Not until Kate and I come to some kind of agreement. Colt's POV. Kate's words kept popping up in my head. Was I oversensitive and overreacting? And that long and miserable face? Gray asked, lifting his gaze from our grandfather's journal. We have been planning the alpha ceremony. The invitation list was set, the decorator called, and the kitchen was informed to have a menu ready by tomorrow for approval. Yet, even though we were busy, my mind kept wandering off to Kate. Was she incapable of trust? Didn't we show her already that she could trust us? Should we try harder? Don't tell me you are still sulking about what Kate said earlier, Sam said, rolling his eyes. You shouldn't twist her words around like that. You know she didn't mean it like that. And you certainly know it wasn't aimed at us, Gray added, but directly at Sarah. I sighed. I know, I said, but I still have this feeling that she will never trust anyone fully. Do you blame her? Sam asked, cutting Gray off before he could argue and say anything more. No, I said. But why? Colt just remembered she had gone through a lot, Gray said. And we have only been with her a couple of weeks. She needs time. She is only healing now, and emotional healing takes some time. Still, I argued, feeling frustrated, the mate bond should have grown stronger and removed such worries. Why hasn't it? Gray shifted in his seat, unable to answer. I guess he could speculate, but he wouldn't tell me until he knew for sure. Because the mate bond doesn't work like that with Kate, Sam said. Gray's gaze snapped toward Sam, and his eyes widened out of pure shock. How? How do you know that? Gray asked. Do you have any proof? I know a bit more than you think, he said. I might not be the one who is hunting down old myths, but I certainly can read between the lines. You have. Read it? Gray asked slowly, turning to look at me. No, Sam said, getting to his feet and heading toward the alcohol cabinet. Well, sort of. You would be surprised at what is hidden in the local pack library. So what did you hear and find? I asked, cutting Gray off before he could ask any other question. Just something interesting, he said, handing us each a bourbon. Interesting in what way? Gray snapped. Gray wasn't impressed that Sam knew something before he did. Brother, Sam said, taking a seat. Have a bit of patience. I will tell you in a second. Sam took a sip of his drink, delaying the subject, and smiled as he swallowed the golden liquid. He was enjoying torturing Gray by keeping the information to himself. Ah, Sam said. This bourbon tasted so sweet and delicious on my tongue. We should get some more. Gray rolled his eyes, getting angry. Fine, Sam said. I'll tell you what I know. Finally, Gray snapped. Did you know that only one type of wolf is not bound to the mate bond? Sam asked. No, I said, shaking my head. I have never heard of that. Did you? I asked Gray. Gray stared at Sam blankly. Gray, I called. Do you know anything about that? Yeah, he said, knitting his eyebrows. Only white wolves. The rest of Gray's words ended up in a murmur, and images of me and Ray standing in an open field flashed before my eyes. A pure white wolf stood just a couple of feet from me, her golden eyes stuck on me. Welcome, Alpha Colt, she greeted. Hello, Ray, she purred. Kia, I gasped, uncertain. Is that you? The wolf turned her massive head, and I curiously followed her gaze. Kate stood a couple of feet further down, staring at the white wolf in awe. Did she see me? Did she know I was there? Does she know this wolf? But before I could ask, Kate disappeared. Kate just woke up, the wolf said, turning her attention to me. And yes, I am Kia, Catherine's wolf. But you are an all-white wolf, I said. It wasn't a question, I was just stating the obvious. I have never seen a wolf so pure. Kia chuckled, amused at my behavior. That's correct, she said, and Ray is an all-black wolf. I fell silent, unable to process what I was seeing and hearing. Kate was blessed with a white wolf. White wolves are the strongest wolves in existence. They carry powerful magical powers. No one has seen one in centuries because of the number of enemies they have. Fuck! I swore under my breath. Is this the reason why you have been hiding? Why have you never shifted because you are a white wolf? Are you scared? Kia shook her massive head. Her eyes turned sad, and she whimpered. If only, she said sadly. Kate was so badly injured in her shifting that her human body couldn't handle the impact. Her human body gave in. I had to beg the goddess to help her. But it came with a price? I asked. Kia whimpered and nodded. I healed her, and in the process I weakened myself, Kia said. You helped escalate the healing process when you accepted her as your mate. I remember feeling something happening in the infirmary, I said. So it wasn't my imagination? No, she said, smiling. It can only happen when Kate finds her true mate. A smile formed at the corners of my lips. The normal mate bond doesn't work for us, Kia said. That caught me by surprise. Why? I asked. Kate has gone through rejections. She has met her fated mate, twice, to be exact. True, Kate has met suitors, Kia said, and she sighed. They are called false mates. So the goddess sent unnecessary mates to destroy Kate? I growled, feeling anger push up inside me. No, Kia said. White wolves, they are. Kia sighed, and her eyes pleaded with me. What was she hiding? Why did she bring me here? Tell me, I said. I need to know. Kia nodded and took a deep breath. You are not going to like this, she said. I understand, I said, but I need to know. White wolves are cursed to keep them from finding their mate, Kia whispered. Did I? You heard me right, she said. A cold chill ran down my spine, and Ray whimpered next to me, pulling his ears down against his head. How? How did this happen? I asked angrily. It is a long story, Kia said, one that has gone on for centuries. Just know this, Kate is your mate, and you need to trust her judgment. My heart started to race in my chest. The last words of Kia echoed in my mind, and panic rose inside me. What have I done? Colt? Sam's worried voice startled me, forcing the memory out of my mind. Yeah? I answered, bewildered. Where have you gone? Gray asked, his eyebrows pulled into a worried frown. We have been trying to get your attention for at least 5 minutes. Was I gone that long? I jumped to my feet and headed to the exit in a hurry. Where are you going? Sam asked, bewildered. I'm going to apologize to Kate, I said, praying that everything was still all right. Colt's POV, seriously, Kate's angry voice sounded down the quiet hallway. Which part of, I don't want anything to do with you, don't you understand? I froze on the stairs, shocked at Kate's tone of voice. I have never heard her get this angry before. Was she yelling at David? Did he do something wrong? Doesn't she get along with him? Goddess, I hope it's not him. I know he is an annoying brat, but he is just acting like a typical teenager. Do you smell that? Ray suddenly asked, breaking my chain of thought. Smell what? I asked, uncertain if I should leave or stay. Why did it feel like I was intruding? There is a she-wolf with Kate, Ray yapped and growled. I lifted my nose in the air and took a whiff, and a scent of unknown origins filled my nostrils. Catherine, don't you dare turn your back on me, a woman's voice followed angrily. My hands flew into fists, ready to break whoever's neck for daring to threaten my mate like that. Or what? Kate snapped, her voice suddenly level and deadly calm, creating a cold feeling that ran down my spine. Do you think it's Sarah? I whispered. I am positive it's her, Ray said, nodding. An unnerving silence followed, keeping me glued to the stairs. What were they doing? Where the hell has David gone? I internally growled. I told him to stay with her. He is supposed to look after her and ensure that she stays calm and protected. He is still there, Ray snapped. Now concentrate. Then why the fuck is he not saying anything? I asked, frustrated. Why don't you ask him? Ray said, rolling his eyes at me. I growled, feeling the tension growing between the girls with every ticking second. David, I linked. What the fuck is going on? Not now, brother. I'm in the middle of something, he answered, closing his link. What the fuck? That little brat just closed the link on me, I growled, pissed. Doesn't he know that I am the alpha? The hair on my body suddenly started to rise, and a bad feeling crept inside. Were the two girls having a stare-down? Was Sarah thinking about shifting? I think we had better go stop this, Ray said, before something happens and Kate gets hurt and... Agreed, I said. I was about to take the last few steps when Kate suddenly laughed. What was so funny? You do know you are no match for me, Sarah, Kate said. You know I am still stronger than you. At least I am not in a wheelchair, Sarah spat back. I know you don't have a wolf and can't fight me off. The only thing you can do is what? Run me over with the wheelchair? True, Kate said calmly, but I want you to know that you and Brian are one of the reasons why I'm stuck in this wheelchair. Now you blame me? Sarah screeched. I am not the one who didn't listen to Brain and ran into a burning pack house minutes before her first shift. You brought this on yourself. It is your fault that you almost got yourself killed. It is your fault that you are stuck in that wheelchair. It's your fault that I fell pregnant with Brian's pup. What? Kate gasped, and a humorless laugh left her lips. You blame me for you falling pregnant with Brian's pup? You have some nerve. I didn't even know you two were seeing each other. You were supposed to go to that ceremony with Brian and not me, Sarah said bitterly. If you had gone, I would never have. You were invited, Sarah, Kate cut her off. Not me. I was in a coma for almost 8 months when you two were invited to that unknown secret ceremony. I have nothing to do with you two sleeping together, and we both know it wasn't just a once-off thing. You continue f***ing one another's brains out after that. My eyes widened, and my heart pinched hurtfully in my chest as I felt the emotion behind every word Kate spoke. Kate must have truly loved Brian and trusted her friend, Sarah. I shook my head and laid back against the wall. I have never been hurt in such a way. I have never been betrayed by a friend or by my loved one sharing someone else's bed. How do I help her let go of the past and move on? Was having Sarah here helping her heal in any way, or were we making it worse? What can I do to help Kate forgive Sarah? Could she forgive her? Was it even possible? And was it needed? I took a deep breath and took the last few steps. "Ladies," I said, breaking the silence that was now haunting the hallway. Sarah jumped out of fear and slowly turned her head toward me. Kate just stared at Sarah, not minding me. "She knows you were listening in," Ray warned me. "Seems so," I said. "Do you think she wanted me to hear her feelings?" Ray nodded. "Is there a problem here?" I asked, keeping my tone level and as calm as possible. "No," Sarah said. "We are done." "Very well," I said. Sarah turned her gaze toward Kate, her body language angry and stiff. "We will continue this discussion later," Sarah said. I took a step forward, but Kate lifted her hand and gestured for me to stop. "Sarah," Kate said, lifting her gaze, "I am done talking to you. There is nothing in this world that I would like to discuss with you. I suggest you let me be and move on." Sarah hissed under her breath, turned, stalked off toward the front door, and seconds later the sound of clothing ripping and bones breaking filled the air. Kate's gaze moved to David, and my heart pinched as she spoke to him so calmly. All the traces of her anger had gone with Sarah out the door. David nodded, smiled, and turned to leave. "Where do you think you are going?" I growled at David. "I'm getting dinner," David answered. "I'm starving." Kate nodded at David, and he ran off. Then she pushed her wheelchair forward towards me. "Did you enjoy the show?" Kate asked, crossing her arms around her chest as she came to a stop. "No," I answered seriously, "but now I understand your pain." Kate gave me a small smile. "It hurts when the bond breaks," Kate said, "but it hurts even more when your mate and best friend break your heart." I nodded in understanding, grabbed the wheelchair handles, and started steering Kate back to our quarters. "I'm sorry." The words left my lips, and Kate gave me a look of surprise. What she told me next would explain why everything was so hard for her. Catherine POV. "Don't be," I said. "You can't control everything in life, and things happen for a reason. If Brian wasn't unfaithful and Ethan didn't reject me because of my disability, I wouldn't have met you and your brothers." "Yeah, but still," he said sadly, "they shouldn't have hurt you that way, and I need to learn to trust your judgment. I shouldn't have reacted the way I did this morning, and for that, I am sorry." "I know," I said. "Then I should apologize too for saying what I did. I didn't mean it the way it sounded." Colt laughed without humor. "I know, and no, you shouldn't be apologizing for anything," he said. "I was the one who tried to force you to make peace with your best friend, and after what I have just heard, we should send her back home." I nodded, not even arguing. After a moment of silence, I couldn't help but ask Colt if he had ever had a best friend. Maybe he could understand where I was coming from. "I did," he said. "Not one that is your brother or a relative?" I said. Colt laughed. "Yes, I have friends," he answered, laughing even louder. The happy sound was so clear that it washed all the sadness around my heart away. "To be honest, I have many friends. I am the alpha, after all." I nodded in understanding. "Well, I didn't have many friends," I said. "Even though I was liked and respected by everyone, I chose not to have many friends. I was friendly with everyone, but never kept a close connection with them. Most wolves just wanted to be my friend because I was the alpha's daughter. I wanted something true and only a close friend, which Sarah ended up being. She was my best friend. She knew my darkest secrets, my worst fears, and my likes and dislikes." "That's why it hurt you so much when you found out Sarah slept with Brian?" Colt asked. "Yeah," I said honestly. "Except for that, I didn't have anyone left to talk to after what had happened." "You could have spoken to your family," Colt said. "They would have understood." "I could have," I agreed. But my disability was already such a big burden to my parents that I couldn't speak to them about the pain of rejection and betrayal. The whole pack knew about Brian's infidelity, and Jimmy was the one who caught them. I sighed, shaking my head slowly. "I tried to speak to Jimmy about it," I said sadly. "But he hated Brian so much that I just couldn't get it over my heart to tell him what kind of pain I was in." Colt kept quiet and pushed the wheelchair in silence. I guess he was processing everything I was saying. Then I switched over to more happy memories, telling him stories about me and Sarah. "It seems like you two were inseparable," Colt said. "We were," I said, and a sad smile followed on my lips. "We acted like twins. Some days we were so connected that we even completed one another's thoughts. Everyone knew that our bond was unbreakable." "Until Brian comes into the picture," Colt said. Weirdly, it never bothered Sarah that Brian became part of us, I said, looking over my shoulder at him. She accepted him as my boyfriend and we all got along just fine. So you are telling me there was no jealousy or arguments whatsoever between them or you? Colt asked, sounding surprised. No, never, I said. Sarah knew Brian was the next inline beta. She accepted the fact that I would always be surrounded by high-ranking wolves and alphas. Are you sure the two didn't have a relationship behind your back? Colt asked, and my gaze snapped back to find his. The question has crossed my mind multiple times, but I never dared seek the answer. I guess I was trying to protect myself from humiliation. If they indeed saw each other while we were still teens, I certainly kept myself blind to it. I don't know, I answered honestly. I don't think so. Sorry, Colt said, seeing my reaction. I didn't mean to upset you. I'm just surprised that there is no sign of conflict over you. Don't be, I said, taking a deep breath. That idea did cross my mind after I found out about them sleeping together, but it doesn't matter anymore. They have made their bed and should sleep in it. You are right, Colt said. Maybe it's time to make peace with it and move on. I have, I said. It's Sarah who doesn't want to let go. Let's make her understand, Colt said, bringing the wheelchair to a halt, coming around to the front and squatting in front of me. I giggled nervously, seeing his serious facial expression. And how do you plan on doing that, Mr. Big Bad Alpha? I asked. I am open to ideas. Colt gave me a cheeky smile. Well, first things first, he said. It's a bit too late to send her back now. That I'll arrange in the morning. If you must, I said. I don't care if she is here or not. Yeah, but she makes you uncomfortable, Colt said. A bit, yes, I agreed, pulling my dress straight. But nothing I can't handle. She has threatened you, Colt growled dankly. I will not allow anyone to disrespect or threaten your life like that. She is returning to her old pack before I lose my shot and do or say something that we will all regret. Colt's face had turned red as he uttered the words. He sure looked angry. Understood, I said, taking Colt's hand in mine and rubbing circles on top of his fingers. Colt relaxed under my touch. Good, Colt said. The second thing is, I am taking you down to the bonfire. I want you to mingle with the pack members and start getting to know them. Maybe, just maybe, you will find some new friends. I doubt that anyone would fill Sarah's shoes, I said. Maybe, maybe not, Colt said enthusiastically, getting to his feet and kissing the top of my head. At least we tried. Maybe you will find one that is better than Sarah. Fine, I said, rolling my eyes. I will try, but I will not promise anything. Colt smiled happily at my answer and started to push the wheelchair forward. What happened next ruined our plans to send Sarah back home. Catherine, POV. Excitement and love blossomed around the huge bonfire burning down at the lake, and for once, I couldn't wait to get down there and be part of the last part of the festivities. It was only meant for wolves who found their mates. I was never allowed to attend, but now that I was blessed with the triplets as mates, I had a right to be down there and give praise to the goddess. I am surprised how many wolves have found their mates, I said as my gaze moved over hundreds of people holding their mates. Isn't it wonderful? Sam said, excitedly. 358 pairs to be exact, Gray added. I have the register right here. He gestured, tapping his finger on the paper on the clipboard. The Blue Moon Festival was a huge success, Colt added proudly. Every alpha that came praised us for how beautiful and enjoyable the event was. Even though we had a bit of drama with a certain someone, Sam said, rolling his eyes. And getting rid of that wicked witch, Gray added, laughing. We did end up receiving some good and exciting news, Colt said, bending down and stealing a kiss from me. We all laughed, and Sam pushed the wheelchair down the narrow path. Gray and Colt lifted the front of the wheelchair over some rocky surfaces and set the chair down. Sam pushed me closer, where a stage was built, and my gaze slowly moved over the young couples, faces standing around talking and holding their newfound mates as he steered me among the crowd. Some older wolves were bolder, showing their affection, and didn't care who saw them kissing their loved ones. I suddenly wondered how many pairs had marked their mates already. Sam brought the wheelchair to a stop, and Colt and Gray headed toward the stage. Is Colt doing the opening? I asked. No, Sam said. I turned my gaze back to look at Sam, and a teasing smile followed on his lips. "Even if Colt wanted to, he couldn't," Sam answered. "Why not?" I asked, confused. "Colt's the alpha." "Yes, true, but we are classified as newly mated," Sam answered. "This is our first time being here, too." I nodded in understanding and turned my attention back to where Colt and Gray stood, talking to their dad. "The elder pack member will attend soon," Sam continued. "Anyone who is mated is welcome to attend." "Just not unmated wolves," I said, feeling sad. "It's not that bad," Sam said. "Unmated wolves get many opportunities to attend these kinds of events, and there are many festivals just for them to help find their mates." "I know," I whispered. "But still." "Welcome, all newly mated wolves," Alpha Michael said, and the newly mated wolves curiously came closer. "It's with great pleasure that I announce that this year's Blue Moon Festival was a great success and that we had the biggest group of mated wolves in centuries." Cheers followed, and it gave me chills to hear the excitement. "The goddess surely provided this year." When everyone settled down, Alpha Michael continued. "As per wolf custom," Alpha Michael said, "we will take a moment of silence to give praise to the goddess. Later, other older mated pairs will be joining us to give their praise for sparing their bond for another year. I hope you will enjoy the night with us and make memorable memories." Alpha Michael got off the stage and headed toward the bonfire, and Colt and Gray came to my side. "Are you ready?" Sam asked. I nodded, excitement bubbling up in my insides. I always wondered what happened at this event. "Maybe we will be lucky this year and receive a blessing from the goddess," Gray said hopefully. "Or maybe she will send us a message," Colt added. My mood shifted as Sam pushed me closer to the bonfire, and I became anxious and scared. The last time I went to something like this was for my shifting. There, I received a message. I hadn't thought of what the message meant. It was now hidden in the depths of my self-consciousness and was just a horrible reminder of what happened that night. My heart started to race, and my palms and hands became damp. What if she sends me another message? Will I know what it means? My heartbeat quickened as we approached the magnificent, massive fire. But as soon as the heat from the roaring flames touched my skin, I was engulfed in the lethal red and yellow flames. My mind was racing with pictures, and I was voluntarily falling into a state of hypnotic reverie as I saw wolves dancing in the flames. But my focus shifted to the abandoned and dejected wolf, who was depressed and heartbroken. I whispered, "That is me," as tears started to form behind my closed eyelids. "That is how I feel, broken and betrayed. That's me making sense of what happened to me. That's me shutting the world out, believing I don't belong." I was holding on to those sad and hurtful memories. They served as a reminder to me to never trust or get close to anyone again. It was a searing pain that surged through my body like hot silver waves. But eventually I adjusted to the pain and came to terms with the fact that it was a natural part of who I was. I clung to those depressing sensations until the pictures gradually faded and transformed. I was compelled to look at the images in the fire, despite my refusal to do so because of the message they conveyed. I was holding on for dear life, but I could still feel the pain coursing through my body. It was now the only thing that felt real to me. Suddenly, 3 enormous wolves emerged from the flames, exuding an overwhelming sense of dominance and power. I was unable to take my eyes off of them because they seemed so familiar. "Colt, Gray, and Sam," Kia whispered in the back of my mind. "The triplets." The wolves held their ground and continued to search until they met my eyes. "I remember what happened," I whispered to myself. "I recall experiencing unwavering love. I experienced warmth within. I experienced desire and love. They desired to protect me, not because it was required of them." The images changed, suddenly becoming more hostile as the enormous wolves threw back their heads and howled. I shivered, feeling suddenly cold, and darkness engulfed me. Why does it feel like I remember something about this? Was my mind playing tricks on me? I screamed aloud in fear when I saw the crimson eyes that appeared out of nowhere. "What did you just see?" Colt asked, grabbing hold of my arms and shaking me lightly. I met his concerned eyes. Did he hear me scream? "Rogues," I stammered as I attempted to control my heartbeat. "They are not just any rogues." Time seemed to stop abruptly, and the next thing we knew, snarls were coming from everywhere. "Catherine POV. Get everyone to safety," Colt roared. "We are under attack." Under attack? Is he sure? Wasn't it just a dream, a message in the fire? Get the woman and children to safety, Gray yelled and shifted. Summon all the warriors and guards, Sam roared behind me. This isn't how this evening should have ended. We were supposed to make love under the moon, not run for our lives and fight to protect the pack. Princess, Sam said, his voice hoarse and dry, it's time to get you to safety. I nodded, knowing I would only be in the way if I stayed there. 2 years ago, I might have stubbornly refused to leave and wanted to help, but now I was a sitting duck, a liability, and a major safety risk for the pack and my mates. I'll take her, David said, running closer. Are you sure? Sam asked, worried. Brother, David said, you need to protect the pack. I have been trained and have alpha blood running in my veins. What are the chances that a stupid rogue would get me down? Don't get cocky, kid, Sam warned. You will be surprised at how strong those rogues are. What are you waiting for? Colt roared, cutting Sam off. David, take Kate to safety now, and Sam, get your ass shifted into Luca. Colt didn't wait for a reply from Sam, and he shifted, leaving pieces of clothing flying all over him. His shifting went so smoothly and flawlessly that it all happened in a blink of an eye. It was amazing. My gaze ran over the familiar black beast, noticing that Ray's fur carried a silver glimmer under the direct moonlight. I hadn't seen any of the 3 wolves in direct moonlight, and I suddenly wondered what Luca and Duke would look like. Sam rushed to Ray's side, pulled his shirt over his head, threw it on the ground, and started his shift as soon as he had his pants off. Ray shook his head, yet he kept a protective eye on Sam while he shifted. The boys would never leave one of their own unprotected in a time like this. Duke yapped, running closer and shaking his head. I guess he was a bit annoyed with Sam's slow shift. I watched Duke's calculated movements as he came closer, and my gaze wandered over his dark gray fur. They looked like angry waves moving around his body. I lifted my hand and stretched out, and Duke whimpered as David steered the wheelchair away. David suddenly stopped, and I was greeted by a cold, wet nose against my cheek. Duke, I giggled. I have missed you too, boy. My heart instantly ached. I hadn't spent much time with the wolves, and now they were off defending the pack. I let my fingers brush through his thick fur, and Duke purred under my touch. Duke's head snapped toward Ray, and a second later, Ray threw his head back, releasing a long, high-pitched howl. I shivered in my seat as I listened as the sound echoed through the crisp, that silent night and bounced against the cliffs and mountains. I knew what that howl meant. We had better leave, David said nervously. The rogues have broken through the pack border defense. The rogues are heading our way. I nodded in understanding, stroked Duke's ear, and turned my gaze toward Ray and Luca. Be safe, I whispered. I love you. Ray nodded, turned on his heels, and flew like a bat out of hell toward the forest, with Gray and Sam nipping at his heels. Oh, goddess, I prayed, keep my mates safe and protect the pack. David grabbed the wheelchair handles and started pushing me toward the pack house. I am taking you to the safe house, David said. It's safer there. The rogues wouldn't be able to touch us there. He sounded certain of his facts, and I nodded in response. I was unable to say much. I was more worried about my mates' well-being than about where we would be hiding. It was so unfair. I am supposed to be out there, helping them. I sighed frustratedly and made a silent vow that I would regain my strength. I will walk again, and next time I will be an asset to the pack and help defend what is ours. Yet my worries got the better of me, and I started to become anxious. Gray almost got killed at the beach house. Will my mates be okay? How many rogues had managed to get in? What were they searching for? David pushed me forward as fast as he could, making a great distance between us and the lake. It was when we got to the rocky surface that he started to struggle to push the wheelchair forward. Something snapping in half suddenly sounded from below me, and the wheelchair came to a halt and refused to move forward. No, no, no! David yelled out in horror, trying to push the wheelchair forward. Yet the wheelchair didn't budge. It was stuck. This can't be happening right now. Try and lift the chair from this side, I suggested, gesturing to where I heard the breaking sound coming from. Maybe the wheel just got trapped between the rocks or something. David rushed to the front of the wheelchair, squatted down, and assessed the problem. He pulled the chair away from the rocky area and tried again to push me forward. "Shh!" He moaned out his frustration, pulling his hands through his blonde hair. The left wheel seemed to have buckled. He cried out in worry and started fiddling with the wheel. "It's no use," David eventually declared, getting to his feet. "I will need to carry you." "Carry me?" I squeaked out of worry. "We don't have any other choice," David said, taking a quick step forward, bending down and having his strong arms snake around my body. "We need to get you to safety." I felt helpless and wasn't too pleased with the idea. I had become exactly what I was afraid of, a liability to my mates and their pack. David lifted me from my wheelchair and chuckled, amused. "You are much lighter than expected," he said. My face turned crimson out of embarrassment, but when David turned around, all those embarrassing emotions drained from my body, and I was filled with pure fear. Catherine POV. "Shh!" David gasped under his breath and froze in fear, noticing the glowing red eyes approaching us from the west side of the forest. The rogue didn't seem in a hurry or aggressive and was calmly moving forward. I couldn't make out his size, color, or even rank, just the glowing red eyes. He made sure he was moving among the shadows and was very careful about keeping his identity secret. His eyes seemed to grow brighter, even excited, as he came closer to seeing us. That made me worried. Why would a rogue be so cautious about hiding his identity? And why did his eyes light up when he saw us? Were my eyes playing tricks on me? David kept his eyes locked on the rogue, watching his every movement in silence. He knew if he started running, the rogue would chase after us, and the chances of the rogue catching us could end up catastrophic. "Maybe he will leave us alone if we stay still," David whispered. "I doubt that," I said. I had a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach, and I just didn't know why. The rogue came to a stop, dropped his huge head and paused at the edge of the forest. Was he hesitating? "What's he doing?" David asked, concerned. I didn't reply. I narrowed my eyes and focused on the rogue. His flawless movements were hypnotizing, as if this were part of his plan. What was I missing? Why was he acting? The next moment, the rogue took a step out of the shadows and into the light. His brown fur glittered in the moonlight, and horror filled my insides. I gasped out in surprise when the realization hit me. This wasn't just any wolf. It was Brian's wolf, Haiti. The wolf slowly raised his huge head, and a sinister smile followed on his lips, as if he knew that I had just figured out his secret. "Run!" I yelled out in fear. David's gaze snapped back at me. His eyes carried worry and fear. He knew what would happen if he started running, but we had no other choice. "Now, David," I yelled in panic. "That is not just any rogue. That's Hayati, Brian's wolf." Blood drained from David's face, understanding the horror in my voice. He must have heard the story of what he had done to me. David gave Haiti one last glance and started running with me in his arms. He ran up the narrow path as fast as he possibly could, not wasting any more time. David went on a slower run when we came out of the forest and the pack house came into sight. He looked back, searching to see if Haiti was still following us. "It seems like we have outrun him," David said happily. "Don't hold your breath, kid," I warned. "Brian is a beta. You would be surprised at what he is capable of." "And I am of alpha blood," David said proudly. "I am stronger then. And Brian was trained to protect the alpha pair. He is skilled like no other. You don't understand. He is a killing machine," I snapped, cutting David off. Haiti was unpredictable and dangerous. He could easily blindside David, and the chances of David getting out alive would be slim. David wouldn't know what hit him if Haiti decided to attack. I didn't want to take a chance on David's life. He meant so much to me. If something happened to him, everyone would blame me. David pushed forward, heading toward the entrance of the pack house. I was surprised that he wasn't even out of breath to carry me this far. "Almost there," David said, pleased with himself. "Just a couple more feet, and we will be home free." The last words were still ringing in my ears when we came crashing down, and a bare second later the sound of bones breaking followed. "Oh, goddess, no!" I moaned under my breath, knowing what must have happened. I forced my eyes open, fighting against the drowsiness and the raw feeling above my right eyebrow. My eyesight was blurry, making it difficult to focus. That and the excruciating stinging feeling was adding to my discomfort. I must have hit my head, and my hands instinctively reached, touching the sticky substances above my eyebrows. Blood. I wiped the blood away from my eyes and pushed myself into a sitting position. A snarl sounded from behind me, and my gaze snapped toward the sound. A light brown wolf, with a white tail and paws, stood protectively behind me. His posture was aggressive, yet his confidence was faltering. "David?" I whispered. The wolf slowly nodded his head. His dark golden eyes were fixed on the brown wolf. Mocking sounds disturbed the quiet night, and I slowly turned my head. My breath hitched as my gaze landed on the brown wolf, and my heart started to race. Haiti had curved his head to the side, making different kinds of sounds as he watched David's wolf. Was he mocking David? Was he testing his wolf? Was he hoping that David's wolf would make the first move? The two wolves stared at each other, searching for each other's weaknesses. David's wolf stood his ground, not moving away from me. The sound suddenly stopped, and Haiti straightened his head. His gaze moved to me, and a cold feeling ran down my spine. Haiti was done playing. The next second, Haiti charged forward, and David launched himself between us. "David, no!" I yelled as the two wolves pounced on one another. The fighting was brutal. David's wolf was trying to keep Haiti away from me, but Haiti was far more experienced. He clawed at David's wolf and kicked him aside. I watched in horror as Haiti slowly walked to where David's wolf was lying and picked up the wolf at the back of the neck. "Brian, no!" I screamed as Haiti tossed David towards the huge trees. David came crashing down at the bottom of the tree, breaking it in half. "Is he?" I swallowed hard as my body shook out in shock. "Is David?" Soft whimpering sounds followed, and I almost burst out crying, relieved. "Fuck!" I whispered wide-eyed when David's wolf tried to get back onto his feet. He didn't give up and would protect me until the very end. Haiti turned his gaze and narrowed his eyes. He looked surprised that the young wolf was still alive. He gave me a look of annoyance and slowly walked back toward David's wolf. This time, I was sure that Haiti would make sure that David wouldn't survive. But before Haiti could manage to carry out his attack, the most unexpected thing happened. Colt's POV. 70 rogues had crossed the border. 68 were accounted for. 2 were missing. "I have a bad feeling about this," Gray linked me. "Are you sure it was 70 rogues?" Sam asked. "I am positive," I answered. "I could feel every one of them." "And now?" Gray asked. "How many can you feel?" "Where are the other 2?" Sam asked. That was the problem. I could feel every wolf moving inside the pack, but I could pinpoint where they were. The rogues had a certain unfamiliar and unwanted aura around them, whereas my pack members had a calm, wanting, and belonging aura. Sam came closer to me, and my gaze moved over his light gray fur, now stained red. He had killed more rogues in the last half an hour than any other warrior or guard in my pack. He was a killing machine on 4 paws, and it was amazing to see how Luca ripped and clawed the rogues apart effortlessly. 10 rogues managed to get away, barely alive. 46 had been killed, and the warriors were stacking them to get burned. 2 rogues were unaccounted for, and 12 were captured and were on their way to the dungeon. "I don't know," I said, shaking my head. "I have a bad feeling about this. They were never part of the group. They entered from the opposite side of the pack." "Do you think they did that to create a diversion?" Gray asked. "I don't know," I said. "I can feel them still moving inside the pack. They haven't fled." "We will find them," Sam said, sounding confident. "They don't belong here." "Do you know if Kate made it to the safe house?" Gray suddenly asked. "We have been so busy chasing the rogues off our territory that the thought of my youngest brother and mate hasn't crossed my mind." "No," I said. "I thought David might have linked you." "He hasn't," Gray said, and worry spiked my insides. "Where are you now?" I asked. We had been separated in the fight. "We're heading toward the dungeon," Gray said. "I have unfinished business with these rogues and need answers." That meant we were closer to the pack house. "I can't get hold of David," Sam said. "His link is close, and I feel a bit funny." "Funny how?" Gray asked, beating me to it. "Panicked," Sam said. "Cold, worried. My stomach feels twisted like something bad has happened or is happening." "Kate," I gasped over the link. "Why didn't you say something earlier?" "How long did you have the feeling?" Gray asked as I started off to the pack house. "Just now," he said. "But it is very intense, as if something had already happened, and—" I didn't let Sam finish. My emotions had spiraled out of control, and worry filled my insides. I wasn't able to focus, and Ray took control and darted through the forest as fast as we possibly could. The run would take me about 5 minutes and 8 for Sam. He had run after me, trying to keep up. Snarls echoed through the quiet forest. "Fuck," Sam gasped over the link. "Did you hear that?" "Yeah," I said. "Keep your eyes open. We are not alone." Ray pushed forward, and about a minute away from the pack house, he came to a slower jog. "What's wrong, big guy?" I asked. Ray lifted his muzzle into the air and took a whiff of the air. "We are not alone," Ray said. Ray slowly walked forward toward the exit of the forest, his nose still in the air. A familiar scent filled my nostrils, and I narrowed my eyes, yet it had a burning sensation added. "Why does the scent smell so familiar?" I asked. "Because it's someone we know," Ray answered. "Brian?" I asked. Ray shook his head. "No, I would recognize that mutt's scent anywhere." "One of our old pack members?" I asked. "That would be an easy win." "If you are referring to Amy," he said. "The rogue isn't female." Ray stopped, and his ears moved from side to side while listening. "What's going on?" Sam asked, catching up. "Ray found one of the rogues," I linked. "Where?" Sam asked, and Luca lifted his nose in search of the scent. "Up ahead," I said. "Why does he smell like Ethan?" Sam asked, confused. "Did Ethan decide to go rogue? Who will be running his pack?" My blood ran cold as I remembered Ethan's last words. Did he decide to return this quickly to try and claim Kate? Did my mother lie about Ethan's returning to his pack? Or did he change his mind and lie to my mother? "Fuck!" I growled, turning furious. The two missing rogues must be Brian and Ethan, and they are here to claim Kate. Sam growled and started forward, but I blocked him off. "Wait," I said. "This is too easy. Ethan must have been waiting for us." "So he must have a plan," Sam said, completing my thoughts. "Else he would have attacked." I added. "So what's the plan?" Sam spat angrily. "Ethan seems to be alone," I said, "which means Brian must have gone after Kate." "So what do you suggest?" Sam asked. "You take Ethan," I said. "Leave Brian for me." Sam wanted to argue, but I cut him off. "This is not negotiable. It's an order," I said. "Kate and David are in trouble. I am faster than you and can reach Kate in a minute and hold Brian off. You are stronger. When you are done with Ethan, come help." Luca nodded his huge head with a cold smile. He had been looking forward to ripping Ethan's wolf apart. We both pushed forward, finding Ethan's gray and his black wolf, Kylo, standing at the edge of the forest looking at something below. He kind of looked distracted. My heart skipped a beat when my gaze landed on Kate with a look of horror on her face. She was pleading and crying hysterically. Her face was covered in blood. What happened down there? Were they ambushed? My eyes caught movement a couple of feet away from Kate, and my gaze snapped toward that. A cold feeling ran down my spine as I recognized the brown wolf as Haiti, holding Stark, David's wolf, around his neck. How the hell did that happen? Sam's gaze fell on the same scene as mine, and he rushed forward, stepping on a twig. Kylo turned his massive head and pounced forward. Sam blocked him off, giving me a window to escape and to go help David fend Haiti off. But between the snarls, roars, and pleading, an unfamiliar wolf came out of nowhere and knocked Haiti from his paws. But the name that escaped my mate's quivering lips was so unexpected that for a moment I thought I was dreaming. "Catherine POV. Brain, please," I begged, hoping he would listen to me and let David go. Haiti had picked up David by the neck, his jaw over his throat. One small squeeze, and Haiti would kill David. David's wolf was trying with all his might to claw Haiti to get himself out of Haiti's hold. "Let the boy go, please. I beg of you. He is only a child. He has nothing to do with this." Haiti's ears twitched, yet he refused to drop David. Brian must have surrendered all control to Haiti. I wonder why he would do such a thing. "Haiti, please," I begged, hoping he would get it in his heart and listen to me. We always had a strong bond before Brian rejected me. Why did he become this? Why was Haiti reacting like this? He was much better than being a rogue. Tears burned behind my eyelids and my eyesight became blurry, and the tears eventually spilled over, making their way down my blood-smeared face. "Please, Haiti, please let the boy go. Don't hurt him. He is innocent. Take me instead." Haiti pinned my gaze and his eyes turned softer. For a moment I believed that I had gotten through to him, and he would listen, maybe even consider my proposal. But that bit of hope was crushed when Haiti suddenly shook his massive head, leaving David's wolf limp. I gasped in fear, seeing how ruthless Haiti was. He had no conscience at all. He didn't value life anymore. What had happened to him? What had changed and made him so heartless? "Oh, goddess," I whispered. Was Haiti trying to punish me? Was he trying to get back at me for choosing the triplets over him? A cold and sinister grin followed on Haiti's bloody lips, and a cold feeling ran down my spine. I knew that look. He had made his decision, and there was no turning back. If David was still alive, he wouldn't be after this. Haiti's eyes lit up, seeing my horrified expression. He was enjoying torturing me. I simply knew what his next move would be. Haiti was about to crush David's throat in his jaw. "Please don't," I cried out of fear. I shifted my body into a lying position, grabbed onto the log grass, and started to pull myself toward where Haiti stood. Haiti froze with David in his jaws. He looked surprised and curious about what I was doing. His curiosity turned into amusement as I struggled to get closer to him, but I was determined to reach him. Just as I was about 15 feet from Haiti, he huffed annoyedly, took a step back, and his expression changed. "Haiti, please," I begged, pushing myself into a sitting position and stretching my hands out to touch him. "Let him go!" Haiti slowly shook his head and loosened his grip just a bit. He was ready to crush David's throat. At that very moment, a wolf appeared out of nowhere and attacked Haiti from the side, knocking off his feet, and Haiti dropped David's limp body to the ground. The wolf went at Haiti again and again, clawing and biting him wherever she could. She didn't back off, and she took the blows like a real warrior. The wolf was a female. I knew this wolf. I knew the techniques she was using. They were our battle techniques. "Sarah?" Her name rolled from my lips. I watched in pure amazement as she clawed at Haiti, leaving a bloody trail with every blow. She was a natural fighter. Her movements were flawless. It looked as if she had done this 1,000 times. My blood ran cold. Sarah came to help me. Sarah came to protect me. Sarah was fighting Brian. But why? A weak cough caught my attention, and my gaze snapped toward the sound. I didn't have any time left to worry about the reason Sarah had decided to protect me. I needed to see if David was all right. David had shifted back, and he was struggling to breathe. I pulled myself closer, picked up his head, and placed it on my lap. My gaze moved over his injuries and broken body. His injuries were severe, and they seemed not to be healing. "Oh, goddess," I gasped, trying to stop the bleeding. "Why isn't his wolf healing him?" "Help him," Kia whispered. "You can heal him." "I don't know how," I yelled out, frustrated. David's breathing started to become shallower by the second, and his face turned white. "Tell me how to help him," I cried out. "I can't let him die. He deserves a full life. He deserves to find his mate and be happy." "Kate," Colt's worried voice sounded behind me, and my gaze snapped toward him. "Help me," I sobbed. "He is about to die." Colt bent down and touched the side of David's neck, checking for a pulse. His face hardened. "He is gone, Kate. There is nothing you can do for him anymore," Colt says, his voice quivering. "No!" I cried. "David, no!" Colt tried to pull me away from David, but I held on to him with dear life. I had pulled his whole upper body to me, holding on to him and crying on his chest. "David can't be gone. David can't be dead. This isn't fair. He didn't deserve that." Colt tried to pull me away again, but I extended my claws and hissed. I was warning him to stay away from me. I closed my eyes as I sobbed uncontrollably over David's body. My heart was breaking into a million pieces. I welcomed the feeling of excruciating pain. It made me feel alive inside. "No," I yelled, slamming my fist on David's chest. "You are not allowed to die. You have to be there for your niece and nephew's birth." I swallowed hard, feeling the new set of tears burning behind my eyelids. "You are going to be an uncle," I whispered. "They need you. I need you to be there. Who else would teach the pups your pack history and customs?" An unnerving silence followed my last words, but what happened next was surreal. Colt's POV. "Bloody hell!" Sam yelled over the link as he saw Sarah's wolf knock Brian over. She looked furious. "Is she an old girlfriend of his?" "You know the ginger wolf is Sarah?" I asked, jumping over a log. "No kidding," Sam gasped, surprised. He had joined me quicker than I thought, and he was keeping to my pace. "Did he get rid of Ethan already?" Sarah grabbed and tossed Brian against a boulder at the forest edge, splitting the boulder in half. She didn't give Brian time to get back on his feet. She attacked him while lying down. I had never seen a she-wolf fight like that. It was amazing, yet so terrifying to watch. "She is playing dirty," Sam huffed. "At least give the wolf a chance to defend himself." "Are you feeling sorry for Brian?" I asked, getting angry. "No," Sam snapped. "I just believe in keeping a fight clean and fair." "Like Brian did when he attacked Kate?" I asked. Sam growled, coming to a slower jog, and his expression darkened. "I thought so," I hissed. "In any case, this fight is long overdue. Sarah is using this opportunity to release her anger and frustration at Brian. He has been an asshole to her." Jimmy gave me some background on the Sarah and Brian situation before he returned to his pack. At first, he was a bit reluctant to give me any information, but I explained to him that I had the right to know what was going on. He told me about the pup and how they seemingly got together. Things didn't add up, which was one of the reasons I let Sarah stay. I was hoping Kate and Sarah could mend their relationship and maybe find out what had happened. But Jimmy never told me Sarah was a warrior and could keep up a decent fight. I wasn't concerned about Brian's well-being. He had entered the pack without permission, attacked my brother, and threatened my mate's life. For all I cared, it would be a plus if Sarah killed him. She will become a hero among my pack members for saving the future Luna and Alpha's kid brother. "A woman's scorn," Sam said, moving his gaze back toward Sarah. She was dragging Brian's ass away from the forest. For such a small wolf, she was really strong. No wonder she is acting out. Remind me not to get on her bad side. "I will," I said. "By the way, what happened to Ethan? Is he dead? Did you get rid of him?" "I got rid of him, all right," Sam said. The way Sam said that made me wonder what he meant by that, and I turned to look at him. "What happened?" I asked. "He got away," Sam said. "He had some help." "Help," I growled. "Where the hell did he get help from? What are you talking about?" "Someone in the pack is helping them," Sam said, pissed. "There was this scent. It is familiar, but I can't place it." "You can't be serious," I snapped, cutting Sam off. "Who would do a thing like that? Who would betray their pack?" "Your guess is as good as mine," Sam said angrily. "I have a feeling he might have found his second chance in the pack." "Could it be? Then why is he helping Brian?" I pushed the thoughts to the side. I have more urgent matters to attend to now. "Help Sarah with Brian," I ordered. Not that Sarah needed any help. She had pinned Brian to the ground. Was he deliberately not fighting her? Was that his plan? Or did he just give up? "On it," Sam said, breaking apart from me and running toward Sarah's direction. I increased my speed and ran toward David and Kate. Kate didn't notice me approaching. She had David's head lying in her lap. Her clothes and hands were soaked in David's blood. "Goddess," I silently prayed, "please tell me my brother will be all right." I quickly shifted back to humans and slowly approached Kate. "Tell me how to help him," Kate cried out. Tears were running down her face, and my heart broke seeing her like this. Who was she talking to? "Kate," I called, and her red and swollen face shifted toward me. "Help me," Kate begged. "He is about to die." My body froze and ran cold, and my focus turned to David. I could hear his heart pumping, but he was struggling to breathe. Did Brian puncture his lung? Why wasn't his wolf healing him? "He has lost too much blood," Ray said. "Stark is losing the battle. He can't hold on too long." I slowly bent down and touched the side of David's neck, checking for a pulse. I could still feel a pulse, but it had slowed and was almost non-existent. It would be in a matter of a few minutes, if not seconds, that David would be declared dead. "Let's get Kate away from here," Ray said. "She shouldn't see him going like that." "He is gone," I managed to say. "No, Kate cried out, sobbing even louder. "Go to mate," Ray ordered. I quickly moved to Kate's side and tried to scoop her up, but Kate had a different idea. She pulled David's torso to her and started rocking him from side to side. "I can't stand this," Ray said. "She's hurting too much." "What do you suggest I do?" I asked. I hated seeing Kate like this, but I dared not show her how much this hurt me. For Goddess' sake, she was holding my dying brother in her arms. I slowly approached her again, hoping to get a proper grip on her to pull her away and calm her down. But Kate miraculously extended her claws, a cold hiss escaping from her lips, and her eyes turned gold. "Did she just do that by herself?" I gasped, surprised. Or was that Kia helping her? Her sad emotions are helping her to see and feel what is true, Ray said. She loves David. She loves David? I whimpered, feeling heartbroken and sad. I never expected that my brother would be the one to grab my mate's attention and affection. Not in that way, Ray growled, rolling his eyes. Her feelings of acceptance and respect from him are the basis of her love, not any bond. Seeing him die is awakening feelings inside of her. What do I do now? I asked, feeling helpless. Leave her, Ray suddenly said. Give her a moment to come to terms with the situation. Kate's sobbing became more intense, and I was moved by her raw emotions. Son, my father called, and I turned my gaze toward the sound of his voice. Yes, father, I said, his eyebrows furrowed at the sight of Kate with David. Is that? He was unable to complete his sentence, and I nodded to confirm his wariness. No, my mother was crying from behind my father. That's my baby boy. How did you allow this to happen? My father fell to his knees, his face twisted with agony. I am sorry, I muttered. It happened before our arrival. He was ambushed, along with Kate. I turned back to Kate, ignoring my mother's hissing in between sobs. She was whispering to David. Gray took hold of my shoulder, and I pivoted to face him. Worry was reflected in his eyes. I came as soon as I heard, he said. Brian is secured and on his way to the dungeon, Sam reported. And Sarah is on her way to the infirmary for some stitches. I nodded, then turned to look at the full moon that had risen to its highest point. This was not meant to be a night of death and heartbreak, but rather one of magic and love. Kate's sobbing abruptly stopped, and a magical, electrifying silence descended around us. I dropped my gaze and looked at her rocking David back and forth. The moonlight directly shone on her and gave her a certain glow. Sam bumped my shoulder, wide-eyed, and gestured to Kate's hands. Her palms had lit up, and what happened next was indescribable. Catherine POV. One more? Sarah's voice sounded like that of a drill sergeant next to me. Seriously? I moaned, trying to get my legs to move. We were in the gym using all the expensive equipment the triplets ordered, and Sarah was my trainer. I wanted to walk on my own on the night of the alpha ceremony, and that was tomorrow night. This wasn't my idea, Sarah said, grinning, but yours, remember. You are such a slave driver, I hissed back at her. Sarah chuckled, amused. She had become accustomed to my moaning and groaning twice a day for 3-hour sessions over the last few days. Keep on insulting me, and I will add another round, Sarah chirped. I narrowed my eyes at her, frustrated. Why did I ask her again to be my trainer? Because she fought Brian off protecting you, Kia yapped in the back of my mind. Kia has been more permanently settled in my mind. She only wanders off when I go to bed. I was hoping to take my first shift one of these days. I couldn't wait to feel the wind in my fur and the damp earth beneath my paws. I sighed, rolling my eyes at Kia. In the meantime, I decided to try and forgive Sarah. It was harder than I thought it would be, but I promised myself that I would at least try. I owed that to Sarah and myself. You wouldn't dare, I challenged. You know I will, she chirped happily. Should I call for backup? She asked, lifting an eyebrow. I rolled my eyes at her, feeling a bit annoyed. She had the boys' full support in helping me train and walk. I shook my head, defeated, and internally sighed. I didn't want an audience watching me take one more step. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and forced my shaky legs forward, taking the last and final step. Bravo! David's happy voice rang in my ears as he clapped his hands, and my gaze snapped toward him standing at the gymnasium's door. David? I yelled out, surprised to see him, and let go of the handrails. Careful, he said, rushing closer and catching me before I lost my balance and crumbled to the floor. Shouldn't you be in the hospital? I asked, surprised as he pulled me to my feet. I was released a few minutes ago, he said. I cocked an eyebrow at him. He wasn't the easiest patient in the infirmary. Okay, Daniel said. The doctor had enough of my bright, sunny personality, and it all came down to rainbows and unicorns, so he agreed to let me go. David, I groaned in disbelief, you should take your time and heal, not rush it. I refuse to miss the alpha ceremony, he said. That's only tomorrow, I argued. I visited David regularly in the hospital. His healing was slow and painful, but he looked better after each passing day. His wolf was severely injured, which caused a delay in his healing. I couldn't stand staying in that place any longer. He snapped. I will heal faster out here than inside there. It's way too depressing. David took a deep breath before he continued. I was used to him rumbling off and not giving me a chance to talk. I gave him a second to gather his thoughts before he continued. In any case, he said, I needed to see my favorite person. I couldn't help but blush. Some days it felt like David had a secret crush on me, and I was hoping that it would pass as soon as he found his mate. My mind suddenly pulled up scenes of that horrible night, and it flashed before my eyes. David was dying in my arms, and the raw emotional feelings filled my mind. Those feelings were now imprinted and trapped in my mind, as they were now a reminder of who I was. Yet the emotion of unconditional love overpowered everything. I don't know exactly how I managed to save David and keep him from dying, but I was glad I did, and things started to change for the better after that. The boys tried to explain to me what had happened, but all I could remember was hearing David moaning, and a flash of white light disappeared from under my hands. Well done! Kia rejoiced in my mind. You have done it! I am not sure what you are referring to. I cried out in shock. You saved David's life, Kia said happily. But how? I asked. How did I do it? I don't understand. You believed, Kia said. You believed that David needed to be here. You believed he needed a second chance and deserved to be here. You opened yourself up to being loved and cared for again. I didn't understand a word Kia was blabbering about. What just happened? Gray asked, cutting Kia off. His face was twisted in wonder. How did you do that? Sam gasped, sounding even more curious than Gray. Colt quietly squatted down next to me to check on me and moved stray hair from my face. Sam and Gray went to David's side, picked him up, and started to carry him away. I wanted to stop them, but Colt lifted my chin to look at him. I am proud of you, Colt said. Thank you for helping my brother. Alpha Michael and Luna Mary came closer. Both of them had a look of pure wonder on their faces. I guess they were surprised at what they saw. I will only be your favorite person until you find your mate, I said, slapping David's arm, and he groaned. Then I will go back to being nothing. Never, he said, laughing. You will always be my favorite person. I shook my head at him, and Sarah got closer with a towel. David gave Sarah a strained nod of the head, yet he didn't say anything. Colt had told him what Sarah did. So what are your plans for tonight? David asked. I was wondering if we should get some pizza and watch a movie. Kate already has plans, Sarah said, handing me the towel. Oh, can I come? David asked. I don't think it's a good idea, I said. Why? David asked, pouting. Because we are having a well-deserved girls' night, I said. Colt's POV. Everything is arranged, Gray said as he peeked his head into my office. When will Alpha Duncan and his warriors arrive to collect their prisoner? I asked, going through the reports on my desk. Gray hesitated, and I lifted my gaze to meet his. He looked like a deer caught in headlights. Soon, he finally said. Was he withholding something? What's wrong? I asked, setting the pen down on my desk. Nothing, he said, turning to leave. Gray, I know you as well as the back of my hand. Don't lie to me, I warned. Gray turned his head and looked at me over his shoulder. Something is off, Ray yapped, coming closer. I can smell uncertainty and fear from him. What do you think he did? I asked. Gray doesn't just do things without calculating every angle before he makes a decision. My money is on something that you and Sam wouldn't be happy about, Ray said. I have a bad feeling about this. I said, he looks guilty. How dare you? Sam roared, bursting into my office, cutting Ray and my conversation short. My gaze snapped toward Sam standing in front of Gray. He had a murderous expression on his face, and his body was shaking in pure rage. What could have angered Sam this much? Everything has been going smoothly the last few days. What is Sam going on about? I asked, keeping my voice level. His agreement with the Silver Moonstone Pack, Sam roared, extending his claws. Gray quickly took a few steps back into my office, worried that Sam would get hold of him and lose control. How could you agree to that? You will destroy her, Sam roared. I guess he is referring to Kate, Ray commented. Calm down, Sam, I ordered, trying to defuse the situation. And withdraw your claws. I don't want any fighting inside the pack house. Think of Kate. It will upset her if she finds out you have destroyed my office and part of the pack house. Sam gave me a look of rage, but I held my ground until he obeyed my order. He slowly withdrew his claws, but was still furious and blocked the exit. "What did you agree to exactly?" I asked, getting to my feet. Gray dropped his gaze, unable to look at me. Why was he afraid to tell me of the deal he made with the Silver Moonstone Pack's alpha? I narrowed my eyes, letting my gaze move over him. He looked anxious, and his heartbeat started to race in his chest. I could hear the sound from where I was standing. He was panicking. He was hoping I wouldn't ask. What did he agree to, and why was he so worried? "They are not coming to fetch the prisoner." Gray eventually gave in and spoke. "Then why are they coming?" I asked, confused at his answer. "They are coming to watch the execution of Brian." Sam growled, his gaze pinned on Gray. "Oh?" I said, confused at Sam's statement. "Who will be doing the execution?" "We are," Sam hissed. "He wants us to do the execution here in our pack." My blood ran cold, and instead of having Gray's head, I sank back into my chair. Why? Why would Gray agree to this? "Tell me this is some kind of misunderstanding," I said. Gray kept quiet. "Gray," I roared, losing my patience. "Tell me what Sam is saying is not true." Gray shook his head, and my hand instinctively brushed through my thick black hair. "What the fuck do I do now? How did they manage to arrange that?" I asked, getting furious. "I didn't have any other choice," Gray snapped. "Alpha Duncan is afraid that Brian will be able to escape his dungeon again. He doesn't want to delay the execution and risk putting Kate's, Ellie's, or anyone else's life in danger again. He wants him dead as soon as he arrives." "You could have sent him to another pack," Sam growled. "Anywhere but here. If Kate finds out he is being executed here, she will be upset. Think of the pups." "I am thinking of my mate and pups," Gray spat. "Seeing that mutt die in front of my eyes would release the hate I have for him inside me." Gray took a step toward Sam. Anger moved like waves around him. Would he dare start a fight inside my office? "What that bastard did to my brother and mate is unforgivable," Gray sneered. "I want his head. I want to rip his heart out of his chest and feed it to the pigs. I want to see the light go out in his eyes." I shivered at Gray's cold, cruel, and hateful words. The three of us hated Brian and his wolf, but executing him among our pack members wasn't what we had planned. My mind raced off to the night we had captured him. Brian acted differently after he had shifted back. It was as if he had lost his human side. He was now held captive in the dangerous prisoner section in our dungeon, locked up behind a thick silver door where there was no way to escape. Gray had ordered the guards to cuff him against the wall, and a collar with silver spikes was tied around his neck. We haven't spoken to Brian. The only one who took the time to go see him was my father. "So you decided to do the execution on our pack territory?" I roared. "We haven't had a high-rank execution in our pack for over 300 years, and I wasn't pleased by the idea that we were about to change that." "Something like that," Gray mumbled. He knew what I was hinting at. He knew why I was furious at him. Brian is classified as a rogue. He doesn't have the right to be seen as a high-ranking wolf anymore. He made that decision the day he attacked and tried to kill Kate. "That is not all," Sam growled under his breath. "Gray is not telling you everything. What was he hiding now?" "Gray?" I hissed through clinging teeth. "Alpha Duncan wants the execution to be done before the Alpha ceremony." Catherine POV. "Hi," I said, pushing the wheelchair into our quarters. The boys were all sitting in the sitting room, looking as if I had just interrupted a deep and important discussion. Sam was the first to jump to his feet, coming closer to meet me. "And how was your day?" he asked, bending down and kissing me on the cheek. "It was good, thank you," I said. Sam grabbed the wheelchair handles and steered me toward the sitting room, toward his brothers. Colt nodded his head and turned his attention toward me. Did he just have a private conversation with Gray? Were they hiding something from me again? "David came to see me," I said when Gray turned his attention toward me. "He has been released this morning." "We heard," Colt said, getting to his feet. "The doctor called and informed me." Colt bent down and kissed my forehead, then searched my gaze and smiled. "David just needs to keep himself out of trouble for a couple of days, and he will be fit as a fiddle." I nodded, even though I wasn't too happy about that fact. "It is just a pity I couldn't do more for him," I said, feeling the sadness cross my heart. Hey, Colt said, lifting my chin to look at him. You did more than anyone could ask from you. You brought him back and you saved his life. His wolf is just taking longer to heal. And that's not your fault. It could have happened to anyone. I nodded my head and gave Colt a weak smile. I knew it wasn't my fault, but I kept wondering if I was able to do more. Was it possible for me to heal a person fully, or could I just keep them from dying? Come on, Sam chirped. Let me draw you a bath before you go out on your appointment. Sam started pushing the wheelchair toward my room. Are you still doing the girls' night thing tonight? Colt asked, and Sam came to a stop. According to Sarah, yes, I said. I haven't had a girls' night in forever, and I was sort of excited about it. Sarah did all the organizing, and the boys arranged our snacks and drinks for us. We would be staying over in Sarah's room for the night, watching movies, painting nails, and just doing girly stuff. No hard drinking, Gray warned from his seat. He has been acting coldly towards me for the last couple of days, and I wonder if it has to do with the pups. The pups were in good health. Colt had taken me for a checkup at the infirmary the night of the attack to make sure that they didn't get hurt when David dropped me on the ground. The doctor did his checks and confirmed the pups were healthy. The only out-of-place thing was that the pups were growing at an incredible speed. The fetus's age is around 3 months, the doctor said, gesturing to the 2 blips on the monitor. That's impossible, I said. I only started having intercourse recently. Some unknown emotion crossed Colt's cold blue eyes, and my heart started to race out of panic. Usually, a werewolf pregnancy would last for 7 months, but this meant I was due any time soon. Was Colt doubting me? Was he thinking I slept around? I was. I squeaked out my defenses, afraid of what Colt must think. I know you were. Colt stopped me, taking my hands in his and smiling. I believe you. You don't need to explain. I sighed, relieved. I will do some tests then, the doctor said, looking between the 2 of us, and try to find out why the pups are growing at such a rapid speed. We both nodded, thanked the doctor, and Colt picked me off the bed. He carried me back to my room, drew me a bath, and helped me into the tub. Colt, I called, grabbing hold of his wrist. I didn't want him to leave me alone. I was worried. Colt slowly dropped his gaze down on me and found my gaze. Something must have told him not to leave and tell me what was going on. He took a long, deep breath, dropped his shoulders, and squatted next to the tub. My gaze traveled over his blood-smeared face. His eyes looked tired and worried. Yet I couldn't shake the nagging feeling at the back of my mind that he wasn't totally honest about something. Why was he reacting so calmly to the news when he heard how far pregnant I was? You know what is going on with the pups? I asked. Colt slowly nodded his head, yet he hesitated to answer me. Were my pups going to die? I do. He eventually answered, seeing me worried. But it's nothing that you need to worry about. I slowly nodded my head and stared down at my belly. Why don't you want to tell me? I asked, searching his gaze. Colt sighed and gave me a soft smile. Because there's nothing you can fix, he said. Now lay back and relax. I will go get your things ready. Colt left me in my thoughts and still hasn't told me what was going on. Every time the pup subject came up, he would find a way to ignore my questions. I wasn't planning to. I snapped at Gray, rubbing my belly. Gray might be an asshole toward me at the moment, but I would never hurt my pups deliberately. You better not, he said. You know you need to be extra careful. I nodded and gestured to Sam that I wished to leave. Once inside, Sam closes the door behind us. Ignore Gray, Sam chirped. Go and enjoy tonight and have fun. One of these days we will have pups running around, and you will be exhausted. I nodded, didn't say anything, and pushed the wheelchair toward the bathroom. Sam followed and opened the tub taps. He poured some scented crystals into the water and helped me get undressed. A breath escaped my lips when Sam helped me into the bath. What is bothering you? He asked. Nothing, I said, and I gave him a weak smile. You know that I can feel your emotions. Lying to me is like lying to yourself, Sam said, taking a seat on the side of the tub. So tell me what's bothering you. Gray, I said. He's been acting weirdly, almost coldly toward me ever since he heard how far pregnant I am. Sam laughed, shaking his head. I don't think that is what's bothering him, Sam said. We all knew you were pure when we all first had you. Then why is he acting so coldly? Is it because of the rogues? I asked, feeling frustrated. Yeah, Sam said, nodding his head. That is one of the main reasons. Gray likes to be in control. He likes to plan things to the finest detail, and he doesn't like it one bit when things don't go his way. I am the happy-go-lucky one. I just go with the flow. Colt, on the other hand, would easily change strategy when things got out of control. But not Gray, I said. Nope, Sam agreed. He only sees things in black and white. There is no color in between or any shade or depth of gray. Then why is he taking it out on me? I snapped.